Hey guys, Sharagi here with another video on PB Luffy. PB Luffy is still a leader that I think is pretty good into the meta, having decent matchups against the big three and any of the other potential leaders that may come up. Biggest change that you'll see here from the last video is the removal of the ST18 Nami that lets you trash 1 and draw 2 if you're at 8 or more Dawn, in exchange for the Bond Clay, which gives you a little bit more top end, as well as giving you more ramp options, bringing that up now to 13. So that's one that I've been testing out. I like it a lot, especially against the big body matchups like Roger and Ace. The other change here is the removal of Hell's Judgment for OP13 Silver's Rayleigh. This lets you rest a 5 or less, and at the end of your turn, ramp into Dawn. And so this is really good for matchups like Emu and Ace, where you want to prevent additional card draw from the blocker. This lets you stop the Marco. This lets you stop the Workery in Emu. And it's a rush, really good. It fits in the PB Luffy strategy of just being a very aggressive deck. So definitely testing it out. I like it a lot. But other than that, like I said, not a lot of other changes. Your general strategy is still the same in being very aggressive. You'll take some life early because you know you'll end up being 7k body with your Luffy here. That's it. Beyond that, I'll talk about a few other options that I'll be testing out. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into some of the matches. Okay, so first matchup here is against OP13 Ace, one of the big three. Here we're able to go ahead and take second and deny their curve. Again, with PB Luffy, the biggest thing you want to do is prevent your opponent from playing to the best of their ability. In this case, taking their curve is very valuable. PB Luffy doesn't really care if he goes first or second, so just denying that curve I think is more important. Starting hand here looks pretty solid. We have the Morgans if we do need to cycle. We have the Sanji to rest blockers, and then we have the Bond Clay to Ampadon. Playing it out this early usually means that it'll end up getting bounced by Jozu, but that's perfectly fine. We can just play it again, ramp again if we need to, and just keep playing. So here I go ahead and play out that Bond Clay. I'll ramp an additional Dawn, and then I'll swing 6 to face. He probably will not be taking here. It's a pretty easy swing to counter out of. But for this matchup, the biggest MVPs will be that Bond Clay, it'll be that Silver's Rayleigh, and then the Sanji here. I think Magellan is not as good in the matchup if you're able to deny their curve. Just because they'll be going 9 anyways. The only way I think it's good is if you end up finding 2 of them, but typically you'll have better options to play out, so I would just stick with those. In the event that Ace wins the dice roll and gets to go second, then I think the Magellan is a lot more valuable, because you'll end up pushing him down to 7 Dawn and delaying his big bodies by an extra. So early on, pretty standard, we're able to ramp, we play our Beer Luffy, and then we swing big to him, he takes the life, he has a huge hand size. And this is where I was saying, one of the tech options that I've been thinking about is the Marco, or not the Marco, the Law that lets you crash 2 cards if your opponent has 7 or more cards in hand. In this case, I was definitely feeling like it would have been nice, but we still have the Bond Clay, which is really good in the matchup. He bounced it. We play it again, we get a Dawn. Here I play Morgans just to cycle out some cards. We don't need that many rush Luffy, so we go ahead and pitch that, and then we pitch out the Magellan. In this matchup, not as valuable, so we can go ahead and pitch that out. Swing 8. And being at 2 life and having Gum Gum Giant in hand will probably be pretty healthy. We're okay bringing him down to 0 life. Even if he does have a board develops, because if he plays out Roger, that's 10 Dawn. If we're at 7k, and let's say it's the board state that's out right now, he'd only have 1 additional swing, so as long as we can counter out 1 and we can stay at least at 1 life, we're perfectly fine just pushing him down to 0. Here we swing another 8, see if he gives us more cards in hand, and he does, so down to 6, which is a little bit more manageable, and then we pass. Next turns, I'll be looking at either playing the Rush Luffy or the Bon Clay. If he does end up clearing out my Beer Luffy, I can just play it out again. I won't try to defend too hard, but I don't want to give him anything for free, so see what he ends up doing here. Swings at 7, we give him a 1k. Then he plays out the Newgate. We're at 10 Dawn, so playing Gum Gum Giant doesn't really hurt us here. We'll end up right back at 10 the next turn, so I may end up just doing that just to cycle a few more cards, see if there's anything else we can play out coming up. Here I do decide the Luffy should be pretty safe. I think I made a bit of a mistake here. I think I should have just given him the 2k initially and then used Giant, but all good, not the end of the world here. Here we'll swing first with the Bon Clay to copy that Newgate, get value from him first, or we try to clear him out with the Stussy here. So he does take that life, which is nice. Play out the Stussy, dash our Nami, and then clear out that Newgate. Here we swing 7 into 6. He gives us a second Newgate with his leader ability. Then we'll swing another 8. The nice thing too with attaching the Dawn is that it prevents the Beer Luffy from being bounced from Jozu since he bounces at 6 or less. But since we give our characters +1 cost, he stays on the board. So right now our hand's not looking the best. We do have a potential finisher if we get there, but I think for now, let's just see what happens. If we need to take a life, we will. But otherwise, not too worried. We have at least 2 swings here. We have in the Stussy and the Beer Luffy, we have our leader's swing, and then we have the Rush Luffy. That out. Here, swing 7 into 7. I give him a 2k. Here we go ahead and use that second Gum Gum Giant. Find 2 2ks here, which is nice. We can use one of those to protect our character. We do that. Then here we swing 9. I didn't want to attach the extra Dawn because the way I see it is if I swing 10, he'll probably just end up blocking with the Newgate. So I figured this is probably the best way to get at least 2 cards out of hand. Maybe a bit of a mind trick thing, but that's typically what I've seen work for me. And if he ends up blocking there, then saving that Dawn was worth it anyways. So here we play out the Rush Luffy. We swing 8 with our Beer Luffy, become a 7k leader. So he has 8 cards in hand. I have 2 life. And again, the way I see it is if he does play out the Roger, he can swing 12. I'll take that. He can swing 13. I'll take that. And then I just need 1k counter, which I know I have. So should be pretty safe. And realistically, we can even go down a life if we wanted to, just because we do need to just counter out of 1. He blocks that one. Swing 8, and then we do end up using the restand effect, taking a life. We swing another 8. And that does take the game. Again, it looks like here they didn't have the Roger, but regardless, we weren't scared of it. The way that could potentially play out is he swings 12 with Newgate. If he does, then I just block with the Morgans. If he swings 7 with Jozu, I can give a 1k. And then if he plays Roger, I can just take that life and then go for it the turn after that. So that's it for this one. Let's go ahead and move on to the next match. All right, so next matchup here is against OP13 Zoro. This is the matchup where we kind of teched out of it by removing that Hell's Judgment. I think it's an okay matchup regardless, so they do get the choice, winning the dice roll, so they take first. Here we mulligan, and we do have some options. We have the Nami to play out, we have the Bon Clay and the Beer Luffy, so pretty nice start for us. Here we just go ahead and grab a 2k, just make sure we have a decent hand size. We do have 2 bricks already in hand, so having those 2ks will be nice. We'll go down in life a little bit early here, unless he gives us a free block, or counter rather. Here we go ahead and take that first one. He plays out Goshiro. Then here I'm just trying to decide which the best ramper option would be here. I do end up landing on the Zoro, ramping there, playing out a Searcher. Then we just end up picking that second Beer Luffy. If he ends up swinging big into it, we're fine just picking that up to be able to save cards in hand. I ended up not going with the Bon Clay here. Most Zoro lists now that I've seen don't run as much top end. It's a lot more mid-range, a bunch of smaller pokes, so I don't think it's as much value here. It's not a bad card, and if I didn't have another ramp option, I would definitely take it, but I think for our purposes here, just getting that additional bigger swing and getting the search with law was a bit more valuable. So now we can really start rolling. We play out that Beer Luffy. And I'm just trying to decide. He has 6 cards in hand. We go ahead and swing 9. He ends up taking the life, so going down to 3. Now up to 8 cards with that life taken and draw. Here we'll take the easy 1k counter. Plays out the law. Plays out the Shigi again. Swings a 9. And here, just to have a body established, we will counter out of that. And then we'll end up taking the life. If I had another card established, I'd be more okay taking the Luffy, but in this case we don't, so... And that's the general matchup with Zoro. Regardless of what deck you're playing is, personally for me, I like getting to... Okay, so we end up playing the Sanji, resting. So, sorry, what I was saying is, for me, whatever first character you play out that has, you know, like real value, in this case, for Luffy, it's anything that's 7k or higher, I think is worth defending, even if it is at the cost of your life. Here we have 2 giants in hand as well, 2k, so should be pretty healthy, should be able to stay pretty safe. Another thing that I find when playing against the Zoro matchup is that I don't find as much value swinging at their board. I'd rather just swing face, pressure as much as possible. Like for example, if I just swung 7 into 7, he gives me a 1k, but if I'm swinging 7 into 5, he's giving me potentially 2 cards or a life. So here we're in a pretty comfortable spot. We have him down to 1 life. We're down to 1 as well, but we have 2 giants in hand. He swings 2 into 2. I'll gladly take that. That's not a problem. Swings 9 into 7. I'm at 8 Dawn right now, but I think I'm okay just protecting this. See if there's a few more options we can find. Swing 7, give him a 2k. He swings 9. And I think the logic in me protecting that Luffy is kind of the same, right? Where we know he's down to 1 life. He has 7 cards in hand right now, so just trying to apply pressure and just leverage the giants I had in hand. I end up using 1, but I still have 1 left right now. I do go down to 0 life, and then we'll look to see if we can close out. Here I'm just trying to find the best line. We'll start off with a 7, see what he gives us. And at this point, the law, now that he's down to 1 life, does become a blocker, so that's something else to keep in mind as well. Gives us some cards to counter out of. Play the Rush Luffy. Swing 7 into 5. Does take that life. We'll swing another 7. And at 6 cards, it's not guaranteed. At 5, it's also still pretty tough. He'd have to give us 1 block and then a 2k if he has it. So here I'm just weighing out my options, seeing if I am safe enough to just wait an additional turn, or if I need to go for game here. I have 3 2Ks in hand. I have giants. And so I decide, you know what? Let me leave some extra Dawn up. Let me use this giant. I haven't seen my other ones in any of the searches, so they may be coming up. I think they will be. And so we go ahead and pass. Bit of a risky play here. Definitely not one that I think I would be making all the time, but I did feel comfortable enough to just try to go for it. Here he pokes out with some 7s. And so he did swing with his blocker, so he is going for game for sure here. Swings 14 into 7, I'll gladly take that. Then he swings 14 into 7 again here on my leader. I do find that second giant, which is pretty lucky. But we were due for it, right? So we double giant and counter out and succeeds. So that is it here. Go ahead and move on to the next matchup. Okay, so next up here we have the Emu matchup. We're able to go ahead and take second from him, which is really good. Our starting hand, even after mulligan, is not the best. Bond Clay isn't really great in the Emu matchup just because it's not a big body that you can copy. And it gets popped pretty easily by the Mars, so to make do with what we have. Sometimes you do have games like that. We do find the Nico Robin. We go ahead and ramp it on here. That'll give us an extra attacker next turn. We swing 7. And so typically here we would be looking at playing out the Beer Luffy, but seeing as we don't have it in hand, I think we'll just go ahead and move on with the villain. We've already taken Curve from him, but if we can find a second one, that'll be really good. If not, we could still look at the Rush Luffy as an option, but in this case we do find the Magellan. We go ahead and just do some pokes, swing 5 with the Nico Robin, then 6 with leader. Here the Robin, I'm totally fine if he goes to swing into. It'll work as a pseudo blocker, saving me some counter from hand, because right now it is a little rough. Having those Rush Luffys is nice, but we don't want to see all 3 of them at once, especially this early. Here my opponent finds the 5 Elders, so he has 6 cards in hand. Pitches the Sharia, gets an extra one, so back up to 7. We know one of them is 10 Elders. Give him a 2k there. Plays out Workery. And so just with the situation being what it is, we did take Curve from him. We used Magellan to give him 1 minus Dawn. We have a second Magellan here, so that'll just delay him even further. We'll just keep poking out. He has a low hand size, so we can just keep swinging here. Swinging with a 6 and then a 5. And so the next play, just because our hand is a little bit bad right now, will just be Morgan, see if we find something good out of that search, drawing 2, trashing 2. And then from there, we don't find much. We do find a 1k counter. We play that second Magellan, and we go ahead and pass. So we've delayed him even further. Right now he'd be going into 9 Dawn. He's actually at 7 now, so that'll buy us some time, hopefully finding what we need. And in the meantime, we still have 2 pretty sticky bodies to play out right now with those Magellans. We do have a Rush Luffy. Bond Clay will just be a 1k counter in this matchup. And he is, so we go ahead and do that. Here I go ahead and take the life, just trying to find something else that I can play out, just because my options are pretty limited. My opponent plays out his second Saint Saturn Searcher, finds the 4K counter event. And sometimes you have games like this, right, where your opponent's not really finding too much on their side, but neither are you, so you end up in this weird situation, but that's going to happen, so I figure it was worth including this one here. Here we're at 9 Dawn. Go ahead and just poke some 7s. He has 5 cards in hand. We know one of them is a brick, one of them is a counter event, so I don't think he'd be using that to counter out, so he goes ahead and takes the life here. Swing another 7. This is the 3K counter event. We'll play the Rush Luffy, swing 7. And just because we do have the extra one in hand, if he tries to swing big into this, we can just go ahead and get it up. No problem at all. He's 4 cards. He ends up taking the block, drawing 1 with the Mercury, and then bypass. From there, I have my Morgan's blocker up. I have 1 Dawn up for Giant. Goes ahead and pitches the 5 Elders. And still a 9 Dawn. So even though we didn't get the best draw, we're able to stall him so that he can't benefit too much either. Got the Peter, pops the Morgan's blocker. Swing 7 into lead. We go ahead and use Giant, just trying to cycle and find something. Still not finding much, getting some 2Ks, which is nice, but not exactly what we give him. A 2K and a 1K. There's another 5. We'll give a 2K. We wanted to use that Nami Searcher to try to find thing we can play out, whether that be a Sanji or ideally the Beer Luffy. He finally shows up. We don't want to give too much information. And become 7K lead. Here I was going to attach 1 Dawn on the Magellan, but I figure I'm swinging a 7 anyways. Let me do that with leader, give less information. This way he thinks, okay, well there's a possibility that he restands the Rush Luffy and swings 7 twice. Goes ahead and takes that first life, so I swing the 7 here. And he either gives us 2 cards in hand, the 4K counter event, or a blocker. Any of those would be very good for us. Goes ahead and takes the life, and then seeing as he did that, I go ahead and actually just keep the Rush Luffy standing. I don't want to give him a body to target and take down with a Zoro, for example, so goes ahead and swings 7 with leader. And the nice thing with him not having the same Peter is that they're all 5K bodies, so any swing he wants to make, he's gonna have to commit quite a lot. If he wants to play 10 Elders like he probably does, that's 4 Dawn that he needs to set aside, so only 3 remaining Dawn. He uses 2 of those 3, swings a 7, so even though in this case, normally, yes, I would not want to go down to 0 cards in hand, it's actually not too bad of a spot to be in. He only has 7. If he plays the Elders, I think he'll still end up at 7 actually with the Searcher, but he's still at 0 life. We have multiple swings to hit with. Should be okay. Here I think my opponent's just deciding whether or not he wants to actually use the effect. If he wants to swing with the Mars, maybe. I think that's the most likely scenario, but not really a need, I don't think. I guess in theory he could swing 6 into the Magellans, but I don't know why you would want to do that. I think having the extra Dawn up for the counter event is more valuable. If he doesn't have it in hand, maybe he finds it in the search here. He doesn't. He ends up actually finding a 5 Elders, which I think risky, seeing as he doesn't have any life, and I still have that restand Luffy and the Beer Luffy active, so We end up top decking a Sanji here, which is super nice. That'll let us rest the Mercury, topping that extra card draw. We'll just swing 7s here. So it'll be 7, 7, 7, and then 9, 9 with the Rush Luffy, taking a life in the process, but doesn't even come to that point. We go ahead and take it from there, and let's go on to the next and final match of the day. Okay, final matchup of the day is a second Ace versus PB matchup. I had someone comment why I didn't put any Ace matchups in the first video, and honestly, I just couldn't find one at the time that I was recording. I kept looking, I saw a lot of Emus, I saw a lot of Rogers. I ended up finally seeing that UP Luffy, and I said, you know what? 3k, 3 life leader, 6k, close enough, right? But I wanted to make sure I included an extra one here. We are able to take second from him, which is nice, but like I mentioned in the first matchup, regardless of you going first or second, it's usually not as big of a deal just because you do have ideally the Magellan pop up on search or draw. On draw, I guess in this case, since you can't search. Taking curve from him, it's not as impactful if you can play it out for free. I mean, why not if you don't have another option, but you have the Gear Luffy, you have Sanji, you have Rush Luffy, you have a lot of other options that you ideally want to be playing instead. And so here we don't have the Gear Luffy to become a 7k lead, but we do have Sanji, so we can go ahead and rest his Marco, stopping him from getting an additional 3 cards in hand. And we'll just swing a 7 and then a 6, just poking him out, getting as many cards out of his hand as possible. Matchups like this, again, it'd be really nice to have that 4-cost Law blocker that lets you pitch 2 cards from hand. I might put that in, I'm not really sure what I take out just yet, but definitely an option. Here he swings 7. Given the hand state, I don't counter out. We do find that Rush Luffy, which is nice. He plays Jozu, bounces his Searcher. I'm not sure if he didn't realize Sanji's 7 cost, or he decided not to bounce the Robin and give me a 2k. I think maybe in his case he could have bounced the Otama and then the Izo. Not really sure, but we go ahead and swing 7 with the Sanji. We had already used our Beer Luffy to become 7k lead, so we swing another 7. Goes ahead and takes with the Marco, so he draws 3 extra cards here. We'll end up playing Morgans to just cycle some. Pitch that Magellan, like I said, not really needed in the matchup when you can go second. And then we pitch 3-cost Zoro. Here he plays Edward Newgate, takes a life, pitches a Roger, which tells me he probably has a second one in hand. He has 10 cards, which is quite a lot. But here we'll go ahead and use Giant just to cycle. I made a bit of a mistake here. I think I should have just done a 2k, 1k, and then use Giant afterwards for the Ace swing. I wasn't paying attention, I think. So get a little bit punished there, having to give an extra 2k, but not the end of the world. We end up top attacking Stussy, which is always nice. We go ahead and pop that Newgate blocker. And then seeing as he's an 8k leader, we'll go ahead and just poke into the Joker. And so strategy from here, since we did delay him and we have a bigger body on our side, is to try to be as aggressive as possible. We can keep swinging face and we should be quite safe. Even if he develops a second Newgate, or I guess in this case his first Newgate, we still have 2 Giants in hand, and the only other swings, if he plays out Roger, would be Gozu, if we're looking at state, or board state, which would just be a 1k counter. He'd swing 12 with the Newgate blocker, which we could take, and then we could use Giants to stop the 13k from Roger to go through. Here he pitches some cards. We just poke out at the Jozu. His Newgate ends up taking the life again, which I think is very risky, so at this point I'm fairly confident that he has a Roger in hand. So he swings a 9 into the 7. And here I do regret not leaving that Dawn up for Giant. We'll give him a 2k and a 1k. And then we'll just block that second one with Morgan. So not the end of the world, but could have been nice for the extra search here. You're just kind of deciding what I want to do. Rayleigh is not able to rest the Uta since it only rests a 5 or less, but I might still end up playing it just for the rush ability. And I can just do several pokes with the Sanji, swinging 10 here. So the logic here may be a little flawed is, okay, well, if I swing directly at life, he'll either give me the blockers, he'll give me cards, but I think in this case, maybe I could have swung at Jozu instead. But my thing was, okay, this would for sure get me cards out of hand. If I swing into Jozu, depending on what those swings are, he may just give up. And we won't get any value from his hand, so. Here, seeing as we've already used quite a bit of our Dawn, I just end up focusing on the Jozu after all, swinging 9 into 7. He ends up blocking that one. We'll swing a second 9 into 7. Here he should give us 2 cards, so we would go down to 4 cards in hand. We leave Dawn up for Giant. Seeing as we have 2 of them, we could potentially find a third one through those, so that he goes down to 4 cards in hand and should be pretty safe from there. I was debating putting out the Zoro and just leaving 1 Dawn up to have an extra body, but I don't think it's worth it. Here he ends up playing Yamato, which is very surprising. I was pretty sure he would have the Roger already. Just go for the Hail Mary play here, but I think because they left so many Dawn up, he thought, yeah, he probably has multiple Giants, which is correct. But finds some extra cards, attaches a Dawn to leader, swing 7 into my Luffy, give him a 2k. Swings 8 into 7, we use Giant. And he plays a Marco. I figured he wasn't going to swing with the new gate because that would put him in a very vulnerable state. But here we'll go ahead and set up for the Rayleigh. Attach a Dawn to make sure we get the rest effect. He doesn't get the 3 extra cards from Marco, and then we'll just poke out 8. And then it'll probably be 8, 8, 9, and 9. Gives us leader effect and a 2k, so 3 cards in hand, 1 blocker up. It's a pretty tough situation for him to be in, and he goes ahead and gets heat. Did have the Roger in hand. He had a Marco and then the Thatch, which I have a custom art for, as you can see there. This is one where the Rayleigh really shines. You're able to see him be a 9k rusher, rest that Marco, and then lets us finish the game. Alright, so that's it for today's matches. Hopefully this was helpful for you. One last thing I wanted to go over here was just some of the other tech options that I've been thinking about, some of the ratios that I've been considering. So one of the ones that I thought about for a while is the OP09 Rush Luffy. That's this one here. When you minus 1 or more Dawns, it lets you draw 1 card and get Rush. The reason I'm not running this right now is because I think the Silver's Rayleigh fits that similar niche where it's a bigger body, but the Rayleigh also lets you ramp an additional Dawn and lets you rest a character that's 5 or less. So for me, that's a little bit more valuable. The other card that I was testing out is the Blocker Law. When you minus 1 Dawn here, if your opponent has 7 or more cards in their hand, you can trash 2. So that's super helpful for matchups like Ace and sometimes Emu, where they do end up with a high hand size. This helps cut that down while also giving you a blocker. I think if I were to cut anything from here or adjust, it would maybe be increasing the ratios for Sanji, maybe adding 1 more. Letting you rest the 6 cost or lower is also nice versus the Ace matchup where it lets you rest that Uta blocker. I think potentially removing one of the Bonclays or Stussies in exchange for the slot might be good as well, but I'll keep testing that. If I do like it, I'll let you guys know. But otherwise, let me know what you think. If there's anything you think maybe should be added, doesn't work, the video sucks, let me know. Any feedback's appreciated. Thank you so much.